This is Nick Freitas filling in for John Fredericks on WJFN, also on the John Fredericks app. All right, so this next, I got to tell you, the entry song, the song we had playing, Eye of the Tiger, is actually perfect for our next guest because of an incident that Yesli Vega had very recently. But before we get into that, I want her to tell us a little bit about who she is, where she's running, and why you need to vote for her. For Yesli, do we got you on?
Hey, Nick. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hey, so tell us a little bit about the district, the Board of Supervisor race that you're in, and the district that you're running in.
So I'm running for supervisor in the Coles District, and the Coles District really is the heart of Prince William County. It's the district that connects the east to the west end, and it's a very unique district because of the rural aspects of the district, but more so because of the voters that reside in the district. And so, we're running because there are issues that voters are very passionate about that are impacting our quality of life. And, I really thought that I would be able to campaign based on the issues, but it's unfortunate to see, the tactics that my opponent has been using here lately. And, we're just continuing to fight and press forward despite, the opposition that we're facing.
Well, I got to tell you, I saw the Facebook video where you were confronted by a member of CASA. Here you were at an event with your kids, talking to voters, being respectful, and she just comes right up in your face and then just starts accosting you right in front of your two young children. And look, I know a little bit about your background. I know you're a former police officer, sheriff's deputy. And I'm really impressed by how you held your composure. You spoke to her, but again, you were respectful and professional, and she just demonstrated, again, the sort of tactics that I think people are tired of in politics. This idea that you're going to get in front of you're going to get in someone's face at a public event when they're standing right there with their two small children and just start yelling at them and calling them. Tell us a little bit about what happened and what she was accusing you of.
Yeah, so we had a great day door knocking, and, we had, young patriots who are passionate about our republic, and, they're coming to realize what's at stake here, and they just wanted to help us get our message out. So we had a great day at the doors. And I decided, to bring some kids that were helping me from the church to expose them, to different cultures and to see, a little bit of the diversity that we have here in the Coles District. And so, we're walking through the parking lot and I hear somebody call my name and say, are you Yesli Vega? And she was initially very nice. That's how she baited me into having a conversation with her, or so I thought. Then she proceeds to prior to her taking out her cell phone, she said other horrible insults to me, and I was just really ashamed that the kids had to be put through something like that, and that they had to hear, the level of nastiness that this woman displayed. But I'm very grateful. It's really been an honor. It's been the honor of my life to serve the residents of Prince William County, as a law enforcement officer, and I'm very grateful for the training that I've had because it kicked in. People have the right to record other people, especially when you're, in open space. That's her right. What people don't have a right to do is display the type of behavior and lack of civility that this woman displayed towards me by harassing me, calling me a racist, a traitor to my race because I am a conservative woman. And, Nick, that's what it comes down to is that the left is angry because I am a strong, conservative, independent thinker. And when you are an independent thinker, they come after you because, God forbid, you are someone that thinks for yourself and not somebody that goes with the flow and everything that the left is trying to portray conservatives to be in today's society. And, really that's where this all stems from.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it just, when my own wife ran for office, she had people call her a traitor to her gender. And I'll tell you, some of the people that were worse were these liberal men that just felt like because my wife was a conservative, they could just spew all this vitriol at her. And it's like it didn't count. It wasn't sexist. And I feel that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about when conservative women get into when you guys start running, when you guys put yourselves out there to serve in this capacity, the pushback is incredible. You guys experience, I think, far more vitriol than I think I ever had. And I think part of it is because you're seen as a threat. The media and everyone reinforces this narrative that the Democratic Party speaks for all women. or speaks for minorities. And then when you have a conservative woman of color that decides to get in because she's every bit as much a woman, every bit as much of her ethnicity, and every bit as much concerned about the future of her community and her country, it seems like they are so threatened by that you get instances like this where, again, this woman is in your face just being incredibly rude, and you were, again, calm, cool, collected, professional. You responded, but, it just showed such a contrast. But have you seen that in other ways too, where, again, you get treated differently for being a conservative woman?
Oh, absolutely. I've experienced it at the doors. But, again, there is something very powerful about educating people and leaving people with knowledge, with the proper information. And the turnaround that we've seen with folks at the door has been something that continues to fuel my fire to get out there, to continue to engage with people, especially in the Hispanic community, because the left is really good at misleading folks. They're really good at that. They strive through lies and through instilling fear in people. But it's very powerful when you can have those one-on-one conversations with folks at the door, and then, you open their mind, because then they begin to see things for what they really are, And so we have a good number of Republicans here in the district, Hispanic Republicans, that crave change, that want true representation and true leadership that's going to bring forth fresh ideas and that are going to address the issues that really are impacting our quality of life. People are tired of the race baiting, of the insults, and of the lack of civility. And, we're showcasing something different here with our campaign. And I think that's why we're being so viciously attacked. I cannot comprehend how you call the daughter of immigrants, a second-generation immigrant, a racist. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
and I've had so much support, and it's such an honor to say that, even Democrats are reaching out and they're thanking me for how we're running our campaign, for not feeding into the divisive rhetoric, and for really taking the high road. People are tired. People see what's going on, at the national level. People see the news and how people are being attacked. This is what makes our country so great, that we have the opportunity to live in freedom, to express our opinions, and that although they may be different, at the end of the day, we have to respect one another. That's what makes our country beautiful. And, the left, it doesn't matter. They talk about how they're the party of tolerance. They're the complete opposite, because if you don't think like they do, if you don't walk like they want you to walk, then they come after you in such a vicious way. And it's really unfortunate, because they're not being an example, especially to children. I was with children, and, I can't express to you how sad I was for the children who had to experience this, and then shared with me, how frightened they were, because children should never have to be put in such an environment where they feel that their safety is in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, and I think that's, the part that's been so frustrating for so long is that it's this idea that the moment we get into a debate and the moment we disagree on policy, all of a sudden, we get accused of being bigots or xenophobic or whatnot. It's like, wait,
right.
Where are you getting this? I disagree with you on a policy prescription. It doesn't mean I care any less about people. It doesn't mean I care. In fact, if anything, I'm the one trying to protect individual liberties and human rights, and you're constantly trying to give more power and authority over to the government. And when you look at a lot of the reasons why people have always been driven to the United States, it wasn't because we had a powerful government that was running all of our lives. It was because we had a government that respected boundaries and respected the fact that we all had a right to live our lives the way we want. And I just think, again, I think what this comes down to is candidates like you are a huge threat to their narrative. And there's this one sociologist I was reading, Theodore Dalrymple. He'd done a lot of work over in the UK and some real poverty-stricken areas, a lot of work in the prisons and whatnot. And he was talking about propaganda. And he was saying that, propaganda is not made to inform. Propaganda is made to intimidate and humiliate people into believing a lie, so that they're no longer capable of thinking for themselves. They just kind of walk a narrow line. And I feel like when you get out there and people are, this lady's coming up and she's screaming that you're a racist, and she's just demonstrating horrible behavior. That's the propaganda line, right? It's not true. She knows it's not true. But if they can convince people that you're a bad person, then people don't have to listen to what you say. And the fact that you're combating that narrative and you're continuing to go out there and you put yourself out there, even though you know these attacks are going to come, I think that's what overcomes that. So when you're talking to people at the door, what are the real issues that people are concerned about, and how do you want to address those on the Board of Supervisors?
So here in the Coles District, people are very passionate about development. People are very passionate about, ensuring that we're going to have somebody that's going to fight, for the taxpayers and that's going to be a true representative of the taxpayers. Those are the issues that people care about. Public safety, I can't stress it enough. Without safe communities, you have nothing. And, at the doors, those are the conversations that we're having. I want to make an emphasis on the Hispanic community because, it's something beautiful when you can engage in conversation and hear folks talk about how we are the party of free markets. We are the party of opportunity. We are the party that is giving people hope, from the things that they've escaped from. People, come to the United States escaping from socialist ideologies, and they want to get away from that. But what you just said right now really, hits the nail on the head, that they feed this rhetoric. They want to continue with the propaganda so that people can, believe that is the way, to live. That is the way that you should vote. And so, for anybody that is running for office right now, I can't stress it enough. Get out there, be proactive at the doors, because once you engage with people, you really reaffirm that what you are doing is the right thing, that your message is the right message, that we are the party that offers the right solutions, and that despite the things that we've seen, we continue to take the high road. I can tell you, Nick, that I have never experienced, and I've seen a lot of things in the course of my duties as a police officer, and I've engaged with, people from different backgrounds, but I've never seen the type of behavior, the level of nastiness that I've witnessed since I decided to announce that I was running for office. And so, how do we counter that is by staying true to who we are, by being true representatives of what this great nation is, and by never forgetting, the men and women that have paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can continue to engage in this process and to showcase, what true leadership really is.
Well, and that's one thing, too, that I would just say to our listeners that I want them to understand is that, my father was LAPD. He served for 20 years as a police officer and a homicide detective. And I remember him coming home, late after work when I'd spend the summers with my dad. And just the strain, the physical and the emotional toll on being a law enforcement officer. We're living in an environment right now where a lot of people, and unfortunately it is, a lot of people on the Democratic side have demonized law enforcement, right? And we all understand that you're going to have bad apples in any profession. I don't care what it is. But demonize law enforcement, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for what you do within law enforcement, because I was talking to a group of people once, and we were talking about various things. I said, you know what? How many of you in this room have been woken up at 2:00 in the morning to go deal with a violent person? Nobody raised their hands. I said, maybe take that into consideration when you're talking to, when we're talking about our law enforcement personnel, that at the end of the day, there's still people that go home to husbands, to wives, to kids. There's still, when they show up on a scene, they're concerned not only about what happens to them, but what happens to other people, what happens to their partner. And again, it's another one of these things what made me so mad about watching this video and how you were treated. Was that, when I see you, I don't just see what you're running for office right now, but there's a record behind that you have and that your family served, because your husband's military, correct?
Yes, he's a veteran.
Yeah, and so it's this idea where he's served, you've served in uniform. You are both people that have taken a personal responsibility for your community all the way up to and including putting yourself in dangerous and violent situations if it meant protecting the innocent. And to see you treated like this, that is something that should make the voters of the Coles District very angry. You should be upset about this in the Coles District. Because regardless of what you think on policy, when you have someone that has dedicated her life the way that Yesli has to protecting her community, to taking personal responsibility for the protection of her community, and then she says, I want to step out here and I want to run for office, and these are the things that I believe in. And she wants to have a debate on the merits of ideas and concepts and policy. And then her and 2 children are accosted and called names and sworn at. I'm sorry, that's the sort of thing. And again, like you said, probably by someone that then wants to go out and lecture the rest of us on tolerance. That's just not. Tell me about some of the issues that you really want to focus on, when you're elected.
Here again, what we're hearing at the doors people are very passionate in the Coles District about development. You know, here in Prince William County, the county has been out of control, if you will, in terms of development, and people are not against growth. People just want, you know, elected officials to be smart as to how we continue to grow Prince William County. Safety is a huge issue. You know, here in Prince William County, we have an agreement with ICE, which is the 287G agreement, which is a very hot topic. And again, I go back to, you know, the misleading of information, you know, what is being said. And you talked about, you know, police officers being put in a negative light. And that's exactly what is going on here. And that is exactly the kind of hate and lies that my opponent, you know, is saying while he's out talking to people. We are not targeting innocent individuals. That is how they're making it seem, that we're attacking innocent immigrants of the Hispanic community in Prince William County. That is not true. What 287G is, Nick, if you commit a crime in Prince William County, you get arrested. The Adult Detention Center then has another measure to ensure the safety of the citizens of Prince William County by screening everybody that gets looked into the Adult Detention Center for legal status. If it comes back that the individual is in the county illegally and has committed a crime, I can't stress that part enough, because I do not understand why people on the left would advocate for criminals before advocating for law-abiding citizens. It's mind-blowing. But that is the part that I want to stress on, is people that have committed a crime and they come back as being here in the county illegally, depending on the crime that they committed. And I say this, these are not your petty crimes. These are very serious crimes. These are crimes regarding gang participation, murder, sexual crimes. These are individuals that have no business being released back into the community. And if they're here illegally, then an ICE detainer gets placed on them so that they don't have the opportunity to post bond and get out and be back into the community. This is why 287G exists, to ensure that we're keeping our law-abiding citizens safe. But the left is using that as a fear-mongering tactic to tell people of the Hispanic community that they cannot vote for Republicans because Republicans are racist, because Republicans are targeting them for absolutely no reason, and that we're responsible for the deportation of thousands of innocent immigrants. And I quote, those were the words that this woman was screaming at me as she was harassing me and following me at this community event. This is the kind of hate that they're inflicting upon the Hispanic community. And that's why oftentimes, as Republican candidates, you know, we oftentimes feel that we're swimming against the current here, because people don't want to hear what you have to say, because in their mind, they have been told everything that they need to know by the Democratic Party.
Well,
and so...
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, no, you're right. Well, and that's the whole propaganda element, right? It's the whole idea of, if they can convince everybody that you're an evil, horrible human being, then there's no need to listen to what your policy positions are. And so they're trying to win the debate, not by engaging in it, but by setting up ahead of time this sense of like absolute fear. And we have 287G in Culpeper as well. And we got a race between a sheriff right now, and one of the other candidates is opposing 287G. And I'm hearing some of the talking points, and it's like, well, this is about rounding up innocent immigrants. Like, oh my God, you got to commit a crime before it can even apply. And then at that point, like, you don't tell me you care about immigrant communities if you're willing to release violent offenders back into those communities in order to push, you know, your agenda, in order to push your narrative. Because I don't think it makes immigrant communities safer when violent people are released back into their communities.
Right. You lose that peace of mind, you know, that every law-abiding citizen is entitled to and deserves. So, you know, I'm running, you know, to ensure that the Coles citizens, you know, have low taxes, that we are doing everything that we can as public servants to ensure, you know, that our citizens live in safe communities, and, you know, to take a more sustainable approach to development policies when it comes to not just the Coles district, but to the county. It's unfortunate that we can't run on the actual issues that people really care about, because my opponent and his fellow running mates are just set on spreading further lies and causing further division. And it's a shame. It's a shame, because, you know, they want to brag and talk about how they are the ticket of unity. They are the complete opposite. One thing I can tell you, Nick, is that for me, it's never been about politics. I am a servant of the people. I have been somebody that has been on the front line. And I can tell you this, that party affiliation for me never mattered when responding to a call for service.
Yeah.
And it never will matter, because I don't base my interactions or relationships with people because of the political party that they're affiliated with. That is not who I am. You will never hear Yesli Vega say that I am interested in flipping the Coles District blue, because you know what? As a leader, you've already failed. You've already failed, because as a true public servant, it is your duty, your responsibility to be a servant of all of the people in the district, not just people who are Democrats, not